Welcome to Salcedo Paranormal. It is Wednesday, January 26th, 2022. And today I will be sharing some more ghost stories, true ghost stories from the web. As always, to find all episodes and links to social media and ways to donate and other ways to contact me, you can visit the podcast page, which is salcedoparanormal.podbean.com. And Salcedo is spelled SALSIDO. And I'm always looking to hear from you all about comments or questions on episodes or topic suggestions for episodes. And of course, I'm always looking for stories of true paranormal experiences from anyone who wants to share, whether they're your own experiences or others that you trust. I'm always happy to share them on the show. You can either write them down or type them out in a text file. Send them to me either through email or through Discord, or if you would like, and if you are able, I'd be happy to have you join me on the show one time to share your stories that way, and then we can talk about them and go from there. So yeah, that's basically those are the things options that y'all have for reaching me, and hope to hear from you all soon. So we'll get started on these stories today. I wasn't able to get a lot of them, but I have some here, so we'll see how this goes. So this first one says, I was watching my grandchild that evening. It was a quiet evening, and after cooking and eating dinner that I prepared for my grandchild, I retired to the living room to watch the news, leaving my grandchild playing in the hallway outside my bedroom door so that I could keep an eye on her. My grandchild was a sweet 5-year-old, and I left her coloring and playing with her dolls quietly. I sat in my living room chair and turned on the television, turning the sound down on the TV so I could hear my little one if she called out to me for anything. After about an hour or so, I heard her in conversation with someone. There was no one else in the house besides myself and her. Who could she be having a conversation with? I sat dumbfounded, thinking it must be her playing with her dolls. I dismissed it and turned my attention to what was transpiring on the television screen. After a few minutes, and the conversation with my grandchild still going on, I began to listen in on her conversation with what I thought was her dolls. However, to my amazement, the conversation was way beyond just playing with her dolls. She was asking questions, and it seemed like someone, although I could not hear them, was in turn responding back to her. My curiosity kept me glued to the seat as I listened in for another minute or two, before deciding to go and see who or what she was interacting with. Before I could get up and out of beside me, and I asked, "Sweetheart, who were you talking to? Were you playing with your dolls?" She turned and looked up at me and said, "No, Grandma. I was talking to your mama and daddy." I said, "Baby, you can't possibly be talking to my mother and father. They've been dead for many years now." My grandbaby looked at me very seriously and matter-of-factly and said, Granny, they were asking me questions about you and how you are doing. They told me to tell you they love you and miss you. From that night on, there was never a mention from her about my deceased parents, and this never happened again when it was just the two of us at the house. However, without a single doubt in my mind, I know that evening my parents were there checking in on me through my grandbaby. This incident still brings tears to my eyes when I think or talk about it. And that's where that one ends. Um, it's quite the experience. Pretty amazing that I'm just wondering what kind of questions. Obviously, the writer doesn't go into detail. Maybe they don't at this point remember if it was enough years ago, or they just don't want to go into personal details. But um, that's amazing, but also not unheard of. Seems like kids um, can be more sensitive to different things, including spirits and so it makes me wonder if how the child knew that it was their great grandparents, if basically they told her that, or if she saw some kind of family resemblance. Then seems like even if she saw that, she wouldn't necessarily know for sure that it was the great grandparents. So, um, but yeah, interesting story there. Um, I do think, like I said, kids can be more sensitive. I think that can, even though that you do hear more about it being that those kind of events taking place um, around that age range, about 5 years old. I do think that can extend in some cases to like just preteen or early teens. It seems like sometimes kids of that age also have experiences. Uh, but yeah, neat story there. It's good that nothing else seemed to happen. So to me, that kind of indicates that maybe it really was who the child thought it was. Seems like if it was anything else that was trying to trick anyone, and they had any kind of bad intent, there would be more stories of more experiences that would start getting worse. But doesn't seem like that happened, so that's good. Um, so I'll go on to the next story here. Get some water real quick. And find my spot because I apparently lost it. Let's see here. Oh, that's weird. Oh, okay. I think my word program is seriously glitching. Either that or when I did the copy and paste. Yeah, wow. I think I need to close and reopen my Word file because I'm seeing like parts of lines and parts of words and um, that's not good. It'll just be a moment. Try closing it and then opening it again. I knew something didn't look right. So we'll try that again. And I'll go back to this file here. Let's see here. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that was odd. It was just like It was almost like I was seeing parts of ads. Uh, APOC, yeah, I have a tech ghost. Nothing is impossible. Anything's possible. Um, but I did open it, close it back down, and open it again. It looks fine, at least for now. So, but yeah, it was looked almost like parts of ads, and then a bunch of like smaller lines of text. It was almost like a web page was like trying to invade the Word document. So that was odd. But anyway, yeah, that does happen every once in a while in these kind of paranormal themed shows. You'll get um, tech problems like that. I mean, you're gonna get tech problems in any kind of streamer or show anyway at times. But so who knows really what was going on there? But yeah, that's always something I keep in mind that can happen. So. As I always say, this is a stream. It's a live stream, so things will happen as they do, and you all get to hear it. So, okay, looks like everything is all right, so I can go on here. So this next story says, I have always had paranormal things happen, and also it seems that I do pick up on some things from people and spirits. But this happened when I was a teenager. It was the early hours after 3 a.m., and I was laying down in bed, doing the usual teenage boy stuff, texting my girlfriend and just relaxing, as it was the weekend. I had my wired headphones on while listening to music on my phone in my room. My mother and siblings all were in their room asleep, so I was enjoying the silence. My bed was to the right side of the room, so the moonlight was illuminating my pillows. Suddenly, I noticed that my bed felt like someone sat on the edge of the mattress, which was weird because I was up all by myself. So, mid text, I turned to look. I noticed that I saw no one, no figure, but there was an indentation on the bed, as if someone was sitting next to me. I paused, looked, and curiously tried to analyze what was happening, when suddenly the pillow to the to the left side looked as if a hand was pressing on it. That was when I got up and out of bed and walked out of my room, closing the door behind me. I had an uncle who passed away and ironically was being buried that morning. Could it have been him saying goodbye? Or was it something sinister in the making? And that's a good question. Obviously, hopefully it was just the uncle. Excuse me. Um, but it's hard to know. Hopefully that was the only event that happened. Um, and if that's the case, then maybe there's a better chance that it could have been the uncle. Um, I'm wondering how big the bed was. If it was just like a smaller bed, then that could definitely be a lot more unsettling. Um, but it's an interesting story. I never, in my experience with my couch bed with my in my apartment, where I had someone sit down on the couch bed next to me. I even felt them lean against my side, so I never saw anything, but I just felt it, and it was definitely odd. Um, so yeah, and if you look at back in my episodes where I focus on my apartment, that story is in there, and also I talk about it on a fair number of guest appearances and other shows too. So But yeah, that's an odd one. The timing of that um is interesting. And it happened on the morning that the uncle was being buried. Um, so, but yeah, I don't know what to make of that one for sure. So, yeah, Apox, as I heard that one, it's the thing I like about um, going on all different shows when I can and sharing all my stories is no one ever reacts the same way. You know, everyone's different in their thoughts and their questions about the same stories, basically, of experiences. So I always enjoy talking to people, different people about those things, about not just about my experiences, but about others as well. And because I really don't, it's not so much that I obviously, like I said before, it's not like I really feel like it has to be all about me. It's just I love hearing what others think. You know, conversations they're I think they're more and more important these days than ever. So, but but yeah, so that's one of those. Most of the time, I've only ever heard and seen things here and there, but that one, it's totally different when you actually feel something. That makes it a lot more, a lot harder to deny, to me anyway. So, um, but yeah, no, I enjoy sharing my stories with anyone who wants to hear them. So, but move on to the next story here, and so this one says. Later in the evening, at around 7:30 one night, a friend and I were bored, and so we decided to go to Knight's Ferry in California. It's an old, preserved, small town on a river for tourists to whitewater. Excuse me, it's hard to say. Whitewater raft or explore the old bridge and brick buildings, which have bars on all the entrances and windows for obvious reasons. I just want to stop here. I'd say I think that's really interesting, and it's a neat way to do things to manage a preserved site where the you have brick buildings, so you're able to add these metal bars or metal, uh, basically these security bars to keep people out, but you can still look in. I think that's a really interesting idea of how to do things. But anyway, getting back to the story here, it says, since it was after dark, the small village was all ours to wander and explore as we pleased. We did this for about half an hour, our footsteps echoing off the looming, dark, old brick factories and stores. My friend realized he forgot his phone in his truck and left me near the old bridge while he went to go get it. About 10 minutes later, I was just starting to wonder where the heck he was when he suddenly came jogging up to me, pale-faced. Through his huffing and puffing, he managed to get out that we had to leave because something had spooked him. He waited to tell me until we were in his truck and out of there, on the way out of there. Excuse me. He told me that he had seen a shadow in the shape of a man with glowing yellow eyes, standing in the doorway on the other side of the bars in one of the main buildings. He said that when he lit it up with his flashlight, he could see right through it. Of course, I made him turn right around so that I could go check it out. When we got back there, he absolutely refused to get out of the truck. So I grabbed his flashlight and went alone back to the building to check it out. I thought I heard a couple of strange sounds, and I definitely got chills and an eerie feeling, but unfortunately, I didn't see anything. And that's where that story ends. So it sounds like um, if there were bars in all the entrances and the windows, unless I'm missing something, or unless there are doors in the buildings that are secure that can be opened and closed, it sounds like no one can get into those buildings unless you want to actually, I guess, somehow start taking out the side of the bricks in the building, or use some major equipment to break through one of the bars. Um, so it's interesting that someone, the writer's friend, saw a shadow figure, or at least a shadowy figure, inside one of these buildings, and that it had glowing eyes. That's also interesting. Um, so I like that one. That's I feel like that's something I would do if I had friends that were near me and a place like that to go visit at night. I could see myself doing that kind of thing. Um, I mean, as long as the place is open to the public at night. I mean, I don't ever approve of or encourage trespassing, because that can be dangerous for any number of reasons. But if a place is open like that, even at night, um, I definitely like to go check places like that out. So, but I'm wondering what kind of noises the writer heard. But it doesn't sound like they stayed there very long either. So, sounds like there might be something or someone there. Um, Especially if there's, like I said, if there's no regular doors to get into that building, and everything is barred up, then that means something is there that can just go through these solid objects, or is always there and was always there, and could make itself basically invisible while the construction was going on to completely enclose that building. Either way, those are some interesting possibilities there. Um, so yeah, I thought that was a good story. It's one of those where something happens, but it's not really threatening. But it's definitely, I don't blame them for being, the people there for being startled and a little bit freaked out by that. So let's see here. I'll go on to the next one here. This one says, this encounter happened to my brother 18 years ago. 2 years before I was born, my family moved into an 83-year-old house in a town in Louisiana in the U.S. due to my dad being stationed in a military base. It was a nice big house. Nothing happened until after a year of them living there. It started out small, the footsteps being heard upstairs, doors closing, and our dog barking at the corner every so often. After I was born, it started getting worse. My brother had a walk-in closet in his room. Every night he would hear quiet knocking from his closet until the door opened. After the door opened, he would hear footsteps coming from inside. After a week, he kept the light in the closet on all night. But after that, the same thing would happen from the door leading to the hallway. He said after the door opened, he would hear footsteps walking up and down the hall, stopping at each door. The footsteps would get louder until it reached his door. He couldn't see anything, but he kept thinking that the ghost was standing there, watching him. He tried having both lights on, but my mom would say one or the other. Whichever light he would have on, the ghost would be at the other door. About a year later, we moved because of my dad being repositioned for the military, leaving the house for good. And that sounds like something that is sentient, something that is aware. Um, um, if it's reacting to changes to the environment, as in the lights, the one light being on or the other light being on, it makes me think that it's possibly aware. But it's interesting that it's all sounds and then doors opening. There is something to that. That the way so many experiences seem to involve thresholds, basically doors or windows. I don't know what it is about those, other than the fact that they're connections between two places or two areas. They're on the edge of areas. They're in between. So I don't know. Other than that, I don't really know. But I'm glad for the family that they were able to get out of there. It seems strange. It's that experience sounds like it's right on the edge of being. It doesn't sound fun, and but it's not really. Still, kind of. I can imagine it being causing a lot of stress. It's happening all the time like that, and if it's then it makes you wonder. I mean, beyond what it's doing, it doesn't really. It's hard to read what the intent is there, or if there even is intent. With a lot of these stories, so that's interesting. It's almost like how in some stories you get knocking on doors as if someone or something wants to come in. Well, in this story, whoever or whatever is there just knocks to almost let people know that they're there, and then just comes in. So, yeah, that's a wild story. Like I said, it makes me wonder. It's good that they got out of there, but it makes me wonder if we had information as to the house, the address, and all that, and then, hypothetically, if we could talk to all the people that live there over any number of years, if there would be people there that had that same experience every time. But yeah, so that's a weird case right there. So let's see here. I have two more stories, so I guess I will go through these last two and then we'll be done. But so this one says, so this happened back when I was in my early 20s. I'm 37 now. I was at my friend's drinking some beer like we all did back in the day. Around 2 a.m., my friend's dad was asleep and couldn't give me a ride home, and I lived about 15 minutes away by foot. So I figured I'd walk home. I walked everywhere back then. Halfway is the park, and I could go around the park and get home on time, or I could cut through the park and save some time. So as I was walking up to the park, to the small entrance in the corner of the park, near the soccer field, basketball courts, and roller hockey rink, I was debating crossing through because it's a typical scary movie look. The grass has all the mist, and it was cold. The park lights gave that eerie light on fog effect. I said heck with it and walked through the park. So as I walked through by myself, about halfway through, I looked over to the right and I realized I was walking with a black mass, shape of a body, but just a black mass. And it asked me through my mind, "Where are you going?" It was clear as day to me. I responded by what I felt as just thinking it. I said in my mind, "Going home," and looked straight ahead. At that second I looked straight ahead, I realized I was alone and looked to my right and it was gone. I took off running so fast. I never hopped the fence that quick, but I ran all the way home from there. And once I got home, I cried constantly for an hour at least. I don't understand why I cried so much, but this has always stuck with me. I guess I'm sharing this to get some feedback. I've had quite a few sightings and experiences since then, but to this day, nothing like that. Oh, but since then, up to this day, nothing like that. And that's quite the experience there with telepathy, apparently. Um, I feel like I've heard of that kind of thing happening with shadow figures before, but only on rare occasions. Although I can't think of any stories in particular right now. I'm not. I'm drawing a blank on that. I may have to look into that because I feel like I've heard that before, but I can't say where or give any details on it. But it's interesting. That seems like the writer met someone in the park, or whatever that was, and they just had a question, and the writer answered, and whatever this was, or whoever this was, just left. And but it still obviously startled the person, the writer. And it's really interesting. That's a weird story. It just also it kind of shows, people, a lot of people that maybe don't look into all this stuff, they think of places that are haunted being just indoors somewhere. But things happen. Different things happen like this. There's paranormal stuff that happens everywhere, all kinds of places, including outside, outdoors. So yeah. Um, at least that was the only thing that happened there. I don't blame the writer for being startled and wanting to get out of there as quick as they did. So let's see here. I've got one more story, and then I'll be done for the day. Oops, wrong program. Okay. This one says, I had a friend I made in Indonesia while I worked in Jakarta. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. I was chatting with her one night via video messenger. This was back in 2010, a few months before I met my wife. I'd been chatting to her for some time, and at some point I noticed a girl behind her, sitting on the floor. She was just sitting there, smiling, with her legs bent in front of her. I was really amused because my friend had been chatting to me for some time, and it turns out she's been ignoring her friend the whole time. So I teased and said, "Hey, a head just popped up behind you," expecting her to say, "Oh, that's my friend, such and such. She's just hanging out." Instead, she said, "What head? I'm alone." And I said, "There's a girl with glasses behind you." And she looks totally freaked out. I joked that she had a ghost, but I didn't mean it. It just looked like an ordinary young woman. And it kind of looks like the woman ducks down and is gone. I asked my friend to get up so I can see her room, and it's empty. My friend looks really frightened, and I try to calm her down and say I might have been imagining things, but I only said it to calm her down because she looked so scared. It was late, but at that time I regularly went to bed late, and I felt pretty awake because text chatting always makes me a bit nervous for some reason. Then she, the friend, said that three of her other friends told her they can see a girl in her house, but she's never seen the girl herself. They all described her as wearing glasses, except everyone says she is wearing different clothes. Two of them say it's a red dress. Another says it's a dark blue skirt. And for me, she was wearing a white, sort of a blouse shirt and pants. Her glasses are big and square, and she looks to be in her late teens or early 20s. Anyway, my friend tells me she basically didn't take her other friends seriously. She did not believe in ghosts or have any real religious beliefs. I didn't believe in ghosts either. And if she hadn't looked so freaked out and told me about her friends, I might have put it down to a hallucination. The other thing was that the video window was quite small, but the picture was clear. It wasn't glitchy or blocky. It would be weird if my imagination overlaid a hallucination so perfectly to appear, partially obscured by my friend's desk on the floor behind her. The funny part of the story is that we both thought the other person was lying. I thought she was lying about there being no one in the room, and she thought I was lying and didn't believe I saw someone. Nevertheless, the fact I saw this girl, independently of her other friends, each of the other three also saw the girl independently of each other. It intrigued my friend, and so she asked me questions about her. Although I only saw her briefly, I still remember exactly what she looked like. The next time I chatted to my friend on a different day, we talked about it again. Apparently, she asked more questions of her other friends. She had a friend that claimed to be a psychic that supposedly communicated with the ghost, and the ghost said she liked it in the house, and that she was kidnapped and murdered there back when the area used to be farmland. I don't know if I believe any of this bit. I only know what I saw, and what I saw just appeared to be an ordinary young woman. Totally solid, not transparent or anything like that. I went back to the area as part of a Southeast Asian holiday with my wife and met up with my friend. I asked her again if she was playing a joke on me, and she still claimed she wasn't. And we chatted about it again. If she's playing a prank on me, then one, she's an amazing actor. She really looked scared when I said there was a girl in her room. And two, she improvised a story about her friends also seeing a girl really quickly. And three, it really wasn't her style of humor. It's made me more open to the idea of ghosts, but being scientifically trained, I still have in my mind that it might have been a joke or a trick of the mind. I kept the transcript of the text chat, though, and it still strikes me as very genuine on my friend's behalf. It's a shame I couldn't save the video, and even if I could, at the time, I didn't think I was seeing anything unusual. Apart from the fact I thought my friend was being really rude and ignoring a guest. So that is a wild set of circumstances there. Sounds like, what, 4 people seeing the same figure in this room in different outfits, but the person that the person that lives there in that space never saw anything. So I have no idea how to explain that one, but I do know every once in a while I'll hear about, or I'll see a headline somewhere about things being caught in basically on video like that in a live video chat. So this is not a first necessarily. But it's really amazing that 4 different people saw the same figure in different times. I have no idea what to make of that, except maybe it's due to the camera technology, I guess, that this figure is visible to the people that are looking at the room through the camera lens, or through the, I guess that'd be what it is. So yeah, Apex says that one was creepy. Would not want someone to tell me that. Well, and it's interesting because of the way the writer didn't even think it was a ghost. You know, because it didn't look like a ghost in that it wasn't transparent or translucent. So, yeah. I thought that was a really interesting story. Not fun to go through for the writer's friend, but really odd. So, but yeah, I don't know what to make of that one. But like I said, there's a lot of stories that I see just the titles of, and I don't always get to click on either because it mentions something that's really negative or things like that. I'm not really interested in the stories that are just all about dark stuff. But, you know, or sometimes I'll click on a story and it's just like 1 or 2 sentences and there's nothing much really there. So that's what I mean when I say I've seen stories about that or references to that. So, but I'm glad that these stories were enough to get through this episode. I only had 6 of them, but there was enough there, I guess. So that's good. So yeah, that last one I knew I had to share that one. But thank you all for being here. And I'll be back with more of these kind of stories tomorrow night. Friday, I'll be talking about the basically darkness and light within the context of the paranormal, and just somewhat metaphysical as well. Just the concepts of that and how often they appear in the paranormal in terms of sightings of different beings and all that stuff. So that should be a fun episode to do on Friday. And I just want to remind everyone, next Saturday, which is February 5th, at 8 p.m. Eastern, I'll be doing my 100th episode. And for that one, I'll find some stories, but what I'm really hoping is that that you all, anyone that can make it, will be here, And then if anyone wants to talk with me, I will be allowing one person at a time to unmute so we can talk about the paranormal, and you can either ask a question of me or ask what I think about this or that in the paranormal, or if you feel up to sharing a story about an experience, any of that. If you just want to talk about the paranormal in general, about topics you're interested in. Basically, it's going to be like a Discord version. That's the program I use to do these streams. A Discord version of a call-in show. And so that's the plan for February 5th. And that one, we'll see how long that goes. I'd like to go for at least an hour for that one. The more calls I get, also, the more people I get that want to talk, the longer I can make it. Because I won't have to read as much as far as reading stories from websites and all that. So, just in case anyone wants to help out with that or want something to do that night, you all are welcome, and I'm looking forward to that. So, but again, thank you all for being here, and I will see you all back here tomorrow night for more true ghost stories from the web. Have a good night.